Should be recording. So good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. This is an overview of household carbon reduction, and it's part one, energy saving utility programs. This webinar is focused on exploring Pennsylvania's utility energy savings and utility shopping programs available through the Public Utility Commission as a way to support greenhouse gas reductions in the Commonwealth, saving you energy and money. We're calling this part one because the plan is to dig in a little bit deeper in a follow-up sustainability series session and to get into more items you can do specifically for your home and sustainability strategies at the home. And for today's webinar, we wanted to provide you the foundation for the existing utility programs and that are available in the Commonwealth. I'm Mark Hand, the GreenGov Council Director, and I just wanted to give you a brief overview. So if you don't know already, Pennsylvania's overall climate goal is to reduce net greenhouse gas emissions 26% by 2025, and then a further 80% reduction by 2050. And the GreenGov Council oversees and tracks the performance goals that state agencies are required to meet to lead by example on carbon pollution reduction. And the performance goals are intended to be a foundation by which Commonwealth agencies strive to support Pennsylvania's overall climate goal. And then those goals involve, the primary goals involve fleet electrification, high performance buildings, annual energy reductions, and using renewable electricity for the Commonwealth. So if you would like more information on where we are with these goals and some of the items that we're tracking, please visit our website, which is dgs.pa.gov/GreenGov to see how agencies are meeting the goals. You can see agency certification checklists, which is a way that we measure sustainability for Commonwealth agencies. You can see our annual progress reports, where we have now 3 annual reports. You can see progress over time. And then you can also sign up for GreenGov News and other opportunities such as the GreenGov quarterly newsletter. So in addition to what we're doing, the webinar is also co-hosted and supported through our partnership with Penn State Sustainability Institute. And I just want to introduce our partner with the Penn State Sustainability Institute, Peter Boger. Peter is an assistant director for community engagement at Penn State and is responsible for developing strategic programming and partnerships such as this one we have with the council and Penn State to help leverage resources to promote sustainability through the Commonwealth. So I'll turn it over to Peter for a few opening remarks and then we'll get started.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We're excited to have this as our final webinar in our spring series, and we'll be reaching out to all of you to think about where we want to go next in this series that we hope has been helpful and thought-provoking for you all. This is an important partnership for us at the Sustainability Institute, getting to work with the GreenGov Council because we share a common mission, just working in different fields. Both of us are small, peppy little institutions of a few people in much bigger, vaster institutions, and we're a tiny cog. And our job is to be a helper wheel. Our job is really to help other people thrive and institutionalize sustainability into what you're doing, whether you're in state government, local government, universities and academia, or just an interested home consumer. And to that end, at the Sustainability Institute, we at Penn State are trying to think about how do we help change sustainability in operations, teaching, research, community engagement, and student engagement across all 24 campuses in the Penn State system. But it's thinking especially on community engagement. How do we create novel partnerships that allow us to work collaboratively across the Commonwealth and try to uplift Pennsylvania as a whole's sustainability performance. And that's why we're so excited to be working with Matt and Mark at the GreenGov Council and to host events like this webinar series. So we hope you enjoy this. We hope you find these thought-provoking, and please tell us what we can do more. And looking forward to today's talk. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thanks, Peter. So we'll jump right into our speakers for today, and then we'll just get right rolling into the presentation. So we have 2 speakers. We have Joe Sherrick and Dan Mumford, both with the Public Utility Commission. Joe Sherrick is Supervisor of Technical Services, Policy and Planning. Joe has 30 plus years of experience working for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Joe is currently a supervisor with the PA Public Utility Commission, where he oversees policy and planning within the Bureau of Technical Utility Services. He and his staff are responsible for overseeing Pennsylvania's alternative energy portfolio standard and energy efficiency measures, such as Pennsylvania's Act 129, as well as other activities involving electric vehicles, energy storage, combined heat and power, and operations. Prior to working at the Public Utility Commission, Mr. Sherrick, Joe served as the Climate Change Program Manager at DEP. He oversaw the administration of the Alternative Fuels Incentive Grant Program and a host of other renewable energy initiatives, and worked as an air quality inspector within DEP's Bureau of Air Quality. Joe also began his career in the Commonwealth in the 1980s, working in several years as a state park ranger. And next, I want to introduce Dan Mumford. And Dan is the Director of Office of Competitive Market Oversight. Dan Mumford has served as Director of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission's Office of Competitive Market Oversight since April of 2016. This office calls upon a designated group of legal, technical, and policy staff members from various commission bureaus and offices to informally address obstacles faced by suppliers in participating in the retail market, and is responsible for responding to questions from stakeholders regarding the competitive retail market, monitoring issues hindering the development of the market, and facilitating informal dispute resolution. Mr. Mumford has served with the Public Utility Commission since 1990 in various roles involving consumer protection and competitive markets. And so with that, I want to turn the presentation over to Joe to get started. Joe, take it away. I'll give you a chance to pull your screen up. And it's coming up now. Yep, I see it.
Good. Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to be here. Thanks everybody for taking the interest today. I'll give you some brief overview of Act 129, what that means for consumers, specifically residential consumers, and try to tie that into the CO2 reduction. Quite honestly, energy efficiency conservation is probably the cheapest form of way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, CO2 particularly. And Act 129, just jump right in here, is Pennsylvania's mandatory energy efficiency and conservation EE&C program, signed into law in 2008, but essentially it requires the largest utilities in Pennsylvania to establish plans to reduce energy consumption by a certain level that the commission establishes about every 5 years. There are other programs that are out there, and I'll try to go over those at the end. Those are voluntary, but this is the premier program that is in place in Pennsylvania. So the Act 129 program provides a series of whole multitude of different incentives, rebates typically for residential consumers. They could be rebates for the purchase of new energy store, high efficiency appliances or equipment, rebates to retire old energy consuming equipment like refrigerators, freezers, that sort of thing, incentives for home energy audits. They've also have programs that have brought down the cost of higher efficiency lighting, particularly like LED lighting at big box retailers like Lowe's, Home Depot, and Costco and whatnot. So to give you some example then of some things here to look for, two different labels I think are key that consumers, if you're not already familiar with these, you want to pay close attention to. The first is the Energy Guide label on the left, the bright yellow one. That's a product of the Federal Trade Commission that's required to be placed on larger appliances like refrigerators, freezers, even I believe televisions and things of that nature, to try to educate consumers to the actual energy and cost of purchasing appliances, and to be able to compare them on a sort of apples to apples way. So if you're looking at, say, a 20 cubic foot refrigerator, it's going to have a label on there. It's going to tell you basically how much this thing's going to cost you to operate on an annual basis. It'll give you sort of the number of kilowatt hours used and an average rate for those kilowatt hours, so an average annual cost. And then you can kind of compare 20 cubic foot refrigerators to other 20 cubic foot refrigerators. So it is an apples and apples comparison. The other thing to look for is this Energy Star label that typically is going to be on a lot of the major appliances, but not all of them. And so the real thing here is the Energy Star certification, which is a joint certification between the U.S. Department of Energy, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and industrial stakeholders that manufacture these units of appliances or equipment get together, and they set a bar for what would be the minimum efficiency standards for what would be a high efficiency unit. And if they meet that, they get this Energy Star certification. And what it does is it sort of guarantees you a certain percentage savings. And I'll provide some examples of that coming up here. But these are things that help consumers understand this is smart. This is going to save me not only money and energy. Let's see if this is advancing here. Here we go. Anyway, so these are some of the common incentives that Act 129 provides. $20 to $50 rebate. It's sort of like the icing on the cake. The real benefit is the savings that you would see in that energy guide label. So, for instance, the Energy Star refrigerator here that I have up at the top here is going to save about 10% of the electricity as compared to the non-Energy Star unit, and that's going to add up. That's definitely going to add up. And then, oh, by the way, I can get a $50 rebate on top of that from my electric utility. So that's pretty nice. But quite honestly, the rebate itself is probably not going to move people to buying the Energy Star unit. But hopefully you're taking into account what's in that energy guide label, understanding the operations and the lifetime of that unit, so that it's really about how much you're going to save on an annual basis. And then, grab the rebate while it's there. It's yours. This is all ratepayer funded stuff. So by all means, take advantage of that. So there's some other incentives on here. You can, by the way, get a rebate to recycle the old refrigerator if you're putting one of those out. In many cases, in many areas, the days are gone where the retailer would take for free your old refrigerator and just recycle that. That's not the case in most places anymore. And in fact, if you had to put that out for the trash to be recycled, they'll charge you sometimes, and they won't pick it up if you haven't had a serviceman come out there and put a tag on that that says we evacuated or emptied out the refrigerant, and that's going to cost you money. So for no additional cost, you could get an additional rebate just for recycling your unit as long as it's working. You just contact your utility, and I have links for all of that a little bit later on, how to get a hold of those people. They'll schedule a pickup for you. All you need to do is put it out to the curb. They'll come by with a contractor. They'll haul that away. A couple weeks later, you'll get your check in the mail for an additional $50 just to recycle one of those working units. So as you see, there's a range of rebate levels on here. $50 to $75 to recycle your unit, $20 to $50 for a new refrigerator, freezer, dehumidifier, things of that nature, and larger rebates, understandably, for big ticket purchases like new HVAC systems. So if you're putting in a new central air, or you don't have central air, like I didn't, we had room air conditioners until recently, you can get a more substantial rebate for higher efficiency units, depending on the level of efficiency. So I put together two charts. I know this might be a little bit busy, hard to read, but you see that the types of appliances here, and then in the columns, what you'll see going across the top is depending on who your electric utility is, your EDC is your electric utility. You have PPL, PECO, Duquesne Light Company, which is DLC, and then the first energy company is the FE. So if you're a customer of MedEd, Panelec, West Penn Power, or Penn Power, you fall under this FE column for first energy companies. They do everything the same, so there's no differentiation there, which kind of simplifies the process. But each one of these companies establishes their own plan for how they're going to reach the level of reductions that are required that the commission established for them. So in doing so, they sit down with stakeholders, consumer advocates, and whatnot, and they kind of hammer out the details, and that's how they arrive at some of these rebates. In some cases, some offer a rebate, some don't offer a rebate, and then the levels of the rebates may vary. So try to simplify that and provide a snapshot of that here. You'll see there's quite a few appliances that most of them offer rebates for. And the appliance recycling, most of them offer $50 to $75 to recycle a refrigerator or freezer. Some will do the room air conditioners and dehumidifiers. Typically, they want to see, it might not be cost effective for them to come out and just pick up a dehumidifier because it's a small appliance, really. So they might require you to couple that with something additional, a couple appliances, or maybe if you're putting an old refrigerator out there from the garage or the beer fridge or whatever like that, throw in an old dehumidifier, and they'll pick all those up together and write a check for the combined total at the end there. A couple other things that get bigger rebates: pool pumps. Pool pumps are energy hogs, really. They consume a lot of electricity. So if you get one with a variable speed drive, which is the VSD, you can get a pretty sizable rebate back on that. One of the things that's very common nowadays are smart thermostats. All the electric utility companies are offering rebates of $50 for smart thermostats. They're typically on the order of $250 to purchase outright. So $50, pretty nice deal. Not bad. Nothing to sneeze at there. So the big ticket items then are the HVAC systems. And you'll see on here SEER, S-E-E-R. That's acronym within the industry, basically referring to the efficiency level. So if it's greater than 15 SEER or 16 all the way up to 18, which is the highest level of efficiency for central air systems, you can get various levels of rebates. Again, depending on which utility you're in, this kind of gives you an idea what you might be entitled to. And similarly for heating systems, air source heat pumps of the same SEER rating could get you anywhere from $200 to $450. The ductless mini split systems, very similar, upwards of $400 from PPL, ranging from $150 to $400, depending, again, on which utility you fall under. So to tie all that together and try to get you a sense of what this means, Phase 4, we're in the first year of Phase 4, is a 5-year phase. The electric utility companies have come back and told us that their estimation of electricity savings is, and I tried to convert that to CO2 to kind of give you some sense. And on a statewide basis, just from the residential sector, they're looking at saving over a million tons of CO2 from this phase in Act 129. Try to give you some equivalents there in the far right-hand column there. I tried to put that in terms of the number of passenger cars operating over the course of a year. So a little over 200,000 car equivalent. So it's certainly nothing to sneeze at. It can be quite sizable, and every little bit helps. And then towards the end of the presentation, I'll try to help you understand if you wanted to estimate what your actions are doing. I'll tell you how to try to make some of those conversions and calculate that without getting too much into the math or the weeds. So that's kind of it for Act 129. Then there are some other incentive programs out there that are not mandatory per se, I mean, not required by law. UGI Electric, which is the largest of the small companies, so not falling under the jurisdiction of Act 129, has very similar programs that they've established through rate proceedings. You see $25 rebates for some of the big common appliances there, $50 rebate again for smart thermostats, and again, $350 rebate for the variable speed pool pumps. They also offer incentives for the mini ductless mini split heat pumps and for air conditioning systems of 16 and higher SEER ratings. UGI also has gas utility incentives, offering $100 rebates for that same smart thermostat, tankless hot water heaters and furnaces, and boiler systems and combination boiler and hot water heater systems as well. And UGI Gas offers in-home energy efficiency valuations. They may be going away here in the near future. I don't know if they're going to restructure that somehow or not, but that's a very limited time basis thing. The other thing that I should point out is that you can double dip potentially. If you happen to be, let's say, a customer of PPL Electric, but UGI is your gas company, you can take the smart thermostat rebate from PPL and collect the smart thermostat rebate from UGI. Do it. Smart option. There's nothing wrong with that. It's there for the taking, people. So wake up and take advantage of all these things. These are ratepayer funded. So it's basically your money to go and get. Columbia Gas, then going to the gas side of things again, is one of the larger gas utilities across the state, but they're pretty limited in the kind of incentives that they provide, focusing only on the income eligible. So this is really targeted for the lower and moderate income customers, where they would provide free home energy audits and rebates for certain HVAC equipment. If you're in the Southeast, in the Philadelphia area, you probably have Philadelphia Gas Works as your gas company. You may have PECO as well, or instead of PGW. So they're offering various rebates. Now here, the AUFE is similar to SEER in that it's just an industry acronym for high efficiency or efficiency ratings. So the high efficiency units can get rebates of $350 for the furnaces, tankless hot water heaters, and $900 for a hot water boiler, or even more if you have a combination boiler and domestic hot water heater. They're also offering $70 rebates through their online marketplace for the purchase of smart thermostats. PECO, which is the other gas utility down in the Southeast there, has similar rebates for the tank water heaters, boilers, and for furnaces above essentially 97 and up. Leather Stocking is a very small natural gas company serving only in Pike County, and they have a hot water rebate that's available. So a little bit limited, but it's something. So now the energy CO2 relationship, the way you can kind of calculate this is first of all, understanding that all fossil fuels contain carbon and have a carbon intensity or a CO2 coefficient. So for electricity, what we need to know is what is the emissions factor for CO2 per megawatt hour. So we look to PJM, and PJM is the electric grid that manages the transmission and the flow of all the electrons throughout all of the Mid-Atlantic and beyond. So they look at all the fuels that are input to generate the electricity, and based on that, they put out system-wide emissions factors for sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, and CO2, for instance. And for CO2, the emissions factor there is 791 pounds per megawatt hour. That's equivalent to 0.791 pounds per kilowatt hour, and that's what you'd see on your electric bill, your consumption in kilowatt hours. So you could take that 0.791 figure, multiply that times the amount of kilowatt hours that you might be saving in a given year, and that would be your equivalent CO2 reduction, greenhouse gas benefit associated with that particular action or actions. Similarly, with natural gas, the gas utilities sometimes report usage consumption in different units. Mine, for instance, UGI provides consumption billing on 100 cubic foot basis, so it's CCF is 100 cubic feet. every CCF of gas that you might save through efficiency or conservation reduces CO2 emissions by about 12 pounds. So again, you could take that the CCF that you conserved, saved over the baseline consumption, and you can then start to estimate how many pounds of CO2 per year that you're saving from those actions. So that's sort of it in a nutshell. I've got a few background slides here, and I've shared those with the GreenGov folks here. These are links to the additional information that I provided there. I don't expect you to copy and write those down right now. You could maybe screenshot those and keep those for later on. But I'm sure that these gentlemen here will provide those in the notes section, or provide those later on, make those available to you. But my information here is at the end, and I'll provide that quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't want to take too much time because I know Dan's got a lot of valuable information here as well to go through. But just to address a couple questions that might come out. Like I said, this is all ratepayer funded money. You're billed on your bill for these Act 129 programs. It's a very minuscule amount. For a PPL customer that might be using 10,000 kilowatt hours a year, it amounts to about $14 over the course of the year. It's, I think, 14/10 of a cent per kilowatt hour is what it amounts to. It's a pretty small amount, but you are being billed, and that's where the money comes from. So that's why I say go out and take advantage of these programs. These are all cost-effective programs, and that's what this slide is meant to show you right here. We just wrapped up phase 3, and when we talk about total cost ratio of 1.4, the way to look at this is saying for every dollar that I give you, you're making $1.40 on it. It's a pretty good exchange ratio when you look at it. I mean, the numbers keep coming down because we're buying up most of the cheap energy efficiency as we move along. We're currently in the 13th year of operation for this program now. These programs are still cost effective, still saving money. And again, so for every dollar spent, we're getting $1.40 back in savings. These are the annual budgets for the electric utility companies. This is not from the residential sector. This is total. This is the total budget that can be spent on residential, small commercial, large commercial, and industrial. They can spend no more than this. That's stipulated by law. And based on that, they put together their whole marketing programs, their rebates, the incentives of this and that nature. You may see some of the commercials on TV where they're trying to educate consumers about how they can save money and where they can save money. That all comes out of this annual budget right here. And like I said, we're required to implement these programs as long as there's market potential savings there and that they're cost effective. And we do assess that every 5 years. We look at the market potential, we do baseline studies, and based on that and these budgets here, we establish programs to continue moving forward until and unless we can't show that these things are cost effective to perform anymore. And with that, this is my contact information. I don't want to hold anything up anymore. I know Dan's got a lot of good information to go through. I'm going to stop presenting now and turn this over to Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for this opportunity to discuss shopping in our competitive market here in Pennsylvania. And yeah, just as an opening note, we have had a competitive electric market here in Pennsylvania for about 25 years now. This was all the result of legislation back in 1996. So Pennsylvania now has the most mature competitive electric market in the state. And when we say you can shop, it's also, yes, under the law, under our competitive system, you can shop, but you're also free not to shop. The choice is yours. If you want to shop, you can do that through many different ways, online, direct marketing, etc. And there's many different products to choose from, which we'll go into here in a few minutes. However, again, you do not have to shop. If you do not shop, you will receive what's called default service from your local electric utility. they in effect will shop for you. But keep in mind, the price they charge, that does change roughly every 3 months, or if you're a PPL customer, every 6 months. Now, why might you want to shop? The most obvious reason is, to save money, especially if you are a large user. But there are other reasons, such as if you're interested in purchasing renewable energy. And again, we're going to be talking about that more in a little bit. And just to clarify, just what it is you're shopping for, look at your electric bill. It's basically divided into 2 parts. There's what's called the distribution charges. This is what your local utilities, such as PPL, PECO, First Energy, etc. This is what they charge you to maintain all the wires and poles and meters, all the equipment needed to deliver electric to your home or business. The other part of your bill is the generation and transmission. This is the actual electric, the actual juice you're using. This is what you can shop for. And you will see that broken down on your bill. You see it as example there, the highlighted is the generation and transmission charges. That's what you can shop for. And if you do want to shop, if you're a residential and small commercial customer, what you need to know is your price to compare. This is the price of the default service, basically, that you're getting from your local utility. And if you're interested in saving money, this is the price you have to beat if you're going to go out shopping. Now, here at the Commission, we do have shopping platforms online, PAPowerSwitch.com and PAGasSwitch.com. We've had PAPowerSwitch since 2010, and basically, we set this up so that consumers would have a neutral, unbiased source of information and also competitive shopping offers. You can go on this website and shop simply by entering your zip code, and you will produce a whole list of offers of various products. And again, at the top of that list that's produced is your local utility and the price to compare of the default service. Again, this is the price you have to beat if you're looking to save money. On the left of the website, you'll see a bunch of filtering options where you can narrow down what you are specifically interested in or eliminate things that you're not interested in. So let's talk about some of the options you have out there when it comes to products. One of the first big distinctions is a fixed price or a variable price. A fixed price is a price that will remain the same for the duration of your contract. A variable price is a price that can change. It can change monthly or quarterly or even more often. And again, variable pricing, it's not for everyone. If you're someone that needs a stable, predictable electric bill or gas bill, you probably want to avoid variable pricing. It can be cheap, but it can be erratic. Another option that's out there, again, to exercise some caution with, is introductory products. These are prices that, for the first 2 or 3 months, there'll be a special discount teaser rate. And then when that introductory period expires, it adjusts to its regular rate for the rest of the contract. Make sure before doing this, you know what both of those prices are. A supplier has to tell you what the introductory price is, and then what the real price will be after that introductory period expires. Again, you can shop for prices, but another reason people shop is they're interested in getting renewable energy. A lot of people think to have renewable energy, you need to put some solar panels on your house or build a windmill in your backyard. And that's simply not the case. After all, a lot of people simply, that's not an option. They rent their homes or they live in apartments or whatever. If you want renewable energy, you can simply go out to the marketplace and buy it from a supplier that's offering it. And this is pretty popular. Roughly 1 out of every 3 of our residential customers nowadays are buying renewable products. Now, renewable products can cost a bit more than other products and even more than the utility default service. However, those prices have been coming down, and that's a trend that's expected to continue. So if you are interested in renewables but have avoided them because of the pricing, I would encourage you to look again and keep on looking. Another product out there, this is kind of like the wave of the future. You don't see it a whole lot now, but again, look for it more and more, is what's called time of use pricing. This is where the price you pay is going to vary depending on what time of day you use the service. And again, this can be very useful if you're able to shift your usage to lower cost periods. And where this is especially going to be important is for electric vehicle recharging. The expectation, hope is, the rates will be at their lowest overnight. So yeah, plug in your electric vehicle overnight to take advantage of that cheaper rate. Again, you don't see a whole lot of this now. It's just, it's again, wave of the future stuff, but we do on PAPowerSwitch, we just created a whole new section for time of use that's on there. A lot of just general information on what it is. And also there is a way to contact your local utilities to see if they offer it at this time. Options out there when it comes to products, some products come with cancellation or early termination fees. Again, if you don't want to deal with those, then don't sign up for a product that has them. Not all do. Also, something to watch, some products come with additional add-on fees, monthly fees, etc. Again, make sure you're aware of that. Some products come with special incentives. They'll send you a gift card or dangle some other incentive, airline miles or whatever. Again, be careful with those incentives. Don't let them distract you from the actual product. If it's not a product that's meant for you, dangling some sort of incentive isn't going to automatically make it good for you. Make sure you do the math. Don't get distracted. Look at what the product actually costs. Is it right for you? Again, don't be careful when looking at incentives. Everyone loves gift cards, but it doesn't necessarily make it automatically a better deal. Now, how do you know about all these product options and what your product contains or doesn't contain? When you enroll with a supplier, if you're a residential small commercial customer, you get what's called the disclosure statement, and that has your prices, your fees, incentives, the length of the contract, etc. Now, we realize in a perfect world, everyone would read their disclosure, every line of it, beginning to end. But we recognize we don't live in a perfect world. So we do also require suppliers to provide their residential and small commercial customers what's called a contract summary. And this is just a simple one-page, the key information you need in an easy to read box format. So yeah, if you don't want to sit down and read your entire disclosure, please at least read the contract summary, because that provides the key information you really do need to make an informed decision about your choice. And one of the key features that summary and the disclosure will explain to you is that you, as a residential or small business customer, have a 3-day right of rescission. You can look at that contract summary and the disclosure and take 3 whole business days to consider it. And you can cancel that deal anytime during those 3 business days without penalty. What about larger and commercial and industrial customers? Instead of disclosures, basically those are contractual matters. Those customers enter into contracts with the supplier, and that's negotiated between the customer and the supplier. It's a matter of contractual law, and any disputes are also generally considered a contractual matter that you ultimately need to consult an attorney for legal advice if you have an issue there. Okay, so you've decided, it's time to switch. You found a deal you like. How long does that take? Unfortunately, there's a big difference here between electric and gas. In electric, it can take effect within a matter of days, maybe a week or 2 at most. On natural gas, unfortunately, the switching still has to be executed at your regular monthly meter read date. So that can take anywhere to 1 to 2 months. Who will bill you? Continue to get billed through your utility. For the larger commercial and industrials, often they get billed directly by the supplier. Whatever the case is, the supplier, that's one of the things they should be explaining to you. However, again, for residentials especially, the vast majority are billed through the utility, and you pay the utility, same as always. The utility then pays the supplier for the services provided. You still only have to write one check. Sometimes, again, I explained PAPowerSwitch and PAGasSwitch, but, there's other ways to shop. Some of those ways to shop involve an agent. And here's just a few things to keep in mind if you're dealing with an agent or a broker or whatever. Be careful with your utility account number. That is basically the key that is used to execute the switch of your account. So don't give it up until you have indeed decided, yes, I want to switch, and this is a supplier I want to switch to. At that point, it's fine to give it to them. They need it. But until that point, keep that to yourself. Again, you don't have to shop. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. And, the ultimate rule, if you don't feel comfortable, if all your questions are not being answered to your satisfaction, don't do it. Walk away and find someone who will make you more comfortable and answer your questions. Words to watch out for if you're dealing with an agent or a broker or whatever, if they're demanding to see your bill, or they're telling you, I want to make sure you're receiving the utility discount or rebate or refund that you're entitled to, or I'm conducting a survey for the utility or for the PUC, or you have to shop because your current supplier or the utility is going out of business, or, this is an urgent matter about your utility bill, or we are partners or working for your local utility. If you hear any words like this from an agent or a broker or whatever, my advice is to walk away, because basically they're not playing straight with you. So these are phrases to watch out for. If you're dealing with an agent, especially like if it's a door-to-door agent, they have to leave if you ask them to do so. They have to prominently identify themselves and immediately explain who they are and what they're doing and what their purpose in visiting you is. They should be telling you that they are, in fact, independent of the local utility. They should, of course, be providing you things in writing upon your request. And those door-to-door agents, just so you know, are required by our regulations to have background checks done through the Pennsylvania State Police. Same with telemarketing. A lot of what I just said also applies to telemarketers. Also, just be aware, that there are the do not call list if you don't want to deal with telemarketers. The information there on the screen, how to get on do not call list. Energy suppliers are required to obey and respect those lists. If you're dealing with an agent, if you're a residential and a small commercial customer and you're dealing with an agent and you've decided to enroll, what will happen next is once that agent's gone or is done with his sales pitch, you're going to get some sort of verification procedure performed. Usually this is done by phone. Someone will call you and simply verify that you did indeed consent to the switch of your supply and that you understand that that is what you're doing. This is a safeguard that's put in place to, again, help protect the consumers from any unintended switching. Also, if you decided to switch, your local utility will send you a confirmation letter saying basically, hey, we got a notice from such and such supplier that you want to switch your service. Your service will be switched on date blank. And if you have not, if this is news to you, you have not agreed to this, contact us immediately. Again, this is another safeguard in place to prevent you from being switched without your knowledge or authorization. Just a word for those that may be on special low-income customer assistance rates or programs. Before you go out shopping, first contact your local utility, because often there are restrictions or prohibitions against shopping if you are in those programs. Okay, say you're interested in service from a supplier, but you're not really into shopping, you don't have the time, whatever. We do have an option the electric utilities make available, what is called the Standard Offer Program. And this is for residential and small commercial customers. You simply have to contact your local utility, PPL, PECO, First Energy, whatever, and ask for the Standard Offer Program. And they will assign you a supplier chosen at random that's agreed to participate in the program. And you will be charged a price 7% less than the utility's current price to compare, and that will remain fixed for 12 months. And there's no extra fees or any termination fee, so you can exit that program whenever you want. And again, you can do this simply by contacting your utility. This is basically an easy, no-fuss method to participate in the competitive market if you really don't want to go to all the bother of shopping, selecting, etc. Just a word, as you know, when you enter a contract and you're with a supplier, what happens as that contract nears its expiration? You're going to be getting 2 notices if you're a residential small business, an initial notice at around the 60-day point, and then an options notice at the 30-day point that will explain in detail your options. Do not ignore these notices. Any questions or problems? You know, we encourage residential and small commercial customers to contact our Bureau of Consumer Services. There's our hotline number, or it can also be done online. And again, thank you for your attention, everyone. And again, there's my email address. I'm certainly available and happy to answer any questions anyone has about our competitive market.
Yeah, thanks, Dan and Joe, for this super informative overview of utility programs and also the shopping for utilities. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I think we have a good about 10 minutes to field questions.